Judge Andrew Napolitano, unlawful federal spying on journalists in Portland should cost officials DH. To view the full article, click the first link in the description below. Last week, this column argued that the only constitutional role for armed federal forces in Portland, Oregon, was to assist U.S. marshals in protecting federal property and personnel there, in this case, the federal courthouse and those who come to it. The column also argued that under the U.S. Constitution, the feds have no lawful role in policing streets unless requested to do so by the governor or legislature of any state. In Portland's case, the governor of Oregon and the mayor of Portland both asked acting Secretary of Homeland Security Chad Wolf to bring his forces home. He agreed to do so when Oregon's governor offered to beef up security at the federal courthouse. Rioters vandalize, set fire at Portland Police Association office, POLICEYet. The federal forces were doing more than just protecting federal property. They were agitating the peaceful demonstrators in Portland streets by firing an internationally banned variant of tear gas repeatedly and indiscriminately into crowds for hours at a time every night. The feds were also spying on journalists who were in the crowds of protesters, reporting on what they observed. Here is the backstory. The Supreme Court has held, for many generations, that the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution protects the right to be let alone. Today we call this privacy. Those who wrote the Constitution were acutely aware of the proclivities of government to monitor the communications and behavior of folks it hates and fears. King George III sent British troops and government agents into the homes of colonists under various pretexts, the most notorious of which was to examine letters, papers and pamphlets to ascertain if the king's tax on them had been paid. This Stamp Act tax cost more to enforce than it generated in revenue. Was the king dumb or dumb like a fox? Probably the latter. The true purpose of the tax was not to raise money but to remind the colonists that the king could cross. Last week, this column argued that the only constitutional role for armed federal forces in Portland, Oregon, was to assist. To view the full article, click the first link in the description below.